In the headlines, President Bola Tinubu mourns victims of Kwara boat accident, orders thorough investigation. Nasarawa police arrest another Kuje escapee, 17 suspected kidnappers, others. Troops rescue 10 kidnapped victims in Zamfara. And on the foreign scene, Human Rights Watch accuses M23 militia of rape, other war crimes in DR Congo. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Darshan Husseina Usman. And now the news in full. President Bola Tinubu has expressed sadness over the boat mishap which claimed many lives in Kwara State. The president's commiseration was contained in a statement on Wednesday by Director of Information Abiodun Oladunjoye. The boat accident, according to reports, led to death of over 130 people who were wedding guests at Ebu village in Pategi local government area of the state. While urging the Kwara State government and relevant federal government agencies to look into the circumstances surrounding the boat accident, President Tinubu promised that his administration would look into the challenges of inland water transportation in the country to ensure the matter of safety and operational standards are strictly adhered to. The statement urged the Kwara State government and relevant federal agencies should work together to unravel the immediate and remote causes of this unfortunate accident, adding that immediate relief and necessary assistance should also be provided to the survivors and families of the victims. Troops of Operation Hadarindaji, deployed to Tafe local government area of Zamfara State, rescued 10 kidnapped victims while on search and rescue operation. The victims were abandoned by bandits when they noticed Nigerian army troops approaching their hideout. Reports say the victims were abducted by the terrorists while working on their farmlands on June 6th. The rescued victims revealed that the terrorists fled and abandoned them when they heard the troops were closing in on them. They were admitted at the General Hospital in Tafe for treatment, after which they were reunited with their families. Troops of Operation Hadarindaji are waging war against the terrorists with a view to flushing them out of Zamfara and other contiguous states to restore peace and order in the troubled northwest. Safi local government area of Zamfara State is one of the flashpoints of terrorist activities and unleashing terror on communities and travelers on the Funtua-Gusau highway. Police in Nasarawa State say a 35-year-old Kuje escapee, Haruna Sunday, and 17 other persons have been arrested for alleged kidnapping, armed robbery, and other related crimes across the state. The arrest of the latest escapee brings the number of Kuje escapees to 3 that the police in the state have arrested. Parading all the suspects at the police headquarters in Lafia, the state capital, on Wednesday, the police public relations officer DSP Ramhan Nansel said Haruna was arrested on June 8, 2023 by a detective attached to Masaka Division.
Upon receipt of the report, police detectives attached to Masaka Division launched a diligent investigation into the case. Consequently, one Haruna Sunday was arrested in connection to the case. Upon interrogation, the suspect confessed to have escaped from Kuje prison when it was attacked in 2022. Investigation is ongoing. Upon conclusion, he shall be handed over to the Nigeria Correctional Services for further necessary action.
So I was sleeping. I started hearing gunshot. Before I discovered they have closed the prison and the gate, they say all of us should go out. So that is where me myself, I find myself outside.
And you escaped?
Yes, sir.
After escaping, instead of you to change and live a new life, you went back into crime.
Yes, sir.
What do you want us to do for you?
Sorry, Pierre. I just want the Nigeria police force to pardon me.
How long?
I will not try it again.
Still on security, police said on Tuesday that an attack by gunmen has killed at least 23 people in separate attacks in Jos, Plateau State, in the latest violence within an area struggling with clashes between herders and local farmers. 2 cattle herders were killed on Sunday before 21 farmers were killed in attacks later in several villages, Plateau State spokesman Alfred Alabo confirmed. In a statement, a Plateau State Governor, Caleb Mutfwang, said he was saddened by the killings and said the security situation had become alarming. Clashes between nomadic herders and farmers over land resources and water are common in several parts of Nigeria, including the central and northwestern states. But violence often spirals into attacks and mass kidnappings by heavily armed gangs and vigilante groups set up to protect communities. The local leader of Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, Macban, Bello Tafawa, told AFP that 2 herders were shot dead on Sunday evening on their way home in an unprovoked attack. Speaker of the House of Representatives Abbas Tajuddin has declared the seat of the immediate past Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila's Surulere 1 federal constituency vacant. This follows the resignation of Gbajabiamila from the House announced at the plenary on Wednesday. The Speaker read the letter submitted by the former Speaker who was in the chambers to announce his resignation. Gbajabiamila was appointed Chief of Staff by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The just inaugurated Senate has adjourned for 2 weeks to enable members to prepare for full legislative activities. Senate President Godswill Akpabio announced this shortly after a closed-door session with members on Wednesday. The Senate has constituted a committee to, among other things, see to the welfare of senators for the smooth takeoff of plenary upon resumption in July. The Plateau State House of Assembly on Tuesday elected first-time lawmaker Moses Sule as the new Speaker of the House. Honorable Sule, who represents Mikan constituency, was elected unopposed by the members of the House. Ado Musa has the report.
The Plateau State House of Assembly comprises of 24 honorable members, out of which 16 are members of the PDP, 7 are of the APC, and 1 from the YPP. Honorable Sule, who came to the House on the platform of the PDP, was the anointed candidate of Governor Caleb Mutfwang. While thanking members of the House for electing him as their Speaker, Honorable Sule called on other members of the House to cooperate with the executive and judiciary to develop the state.
Any differentiation between the different parties that are here as members, the sure thing is that I urge us, please sheath our swords and let us cooperate, be as one for the betterment of Plateau State. We appreciate the fact that our people, our electorates, have bestowed their trust upon us to make sure that we make relevant laws that will bring to the progress and prosperity of Plateau State. To talk a little about the insecurity we are facing today on the Plateau. It is on us to synergize with the relevant bodies, with the executive, the judiciaries, and everyone that comes to offer assistance in one way or the other. Most especially the security agencies within our state.
The Speaker further called on the residents of the state to also cooperate with the House to bring in an end to the security challenges in the state. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Meanwhile, the suspended chairmen of the 17 local government councils of Plateau State have resumed work, defying their suspension by the state governor, Caleb Mutfwang. The embattled chairmen were suspended on June 1st following the State Assembly's recommendation over alleged misappropriation of funds. Again, Ado Musa completes the report.
Governor Mutfwang has soon after the suspension of the elected chairman appointed 17 interim chairpersons to oversee the affairs of the councils. But the suspended chairman declared that the governor lacked the powers to suspend them or take such action against them. The refusal of the suspended chairman to vacate their offices as directed by the governor has prevented the new interim chairpersons to resume offices. Some of the suspended chairmen explain why they resume office despite the suspension.
Well, I'm here today to confirm to my people in Kanam local government that there's no law either in the Nigerian constitution or local government constitution that says the House of Assembly or Mr. Governor has that power to dissolve elected council. If there is any petition, assuming but not conceding to the fact that if there is petition, it should be against the chairman. And the chairman should have a copy of that petition for him to respond. That is fair hearing. And in the process of investigation, my deputy, who is sitting by me, should have been asked to take over pending the final investigation. But I have not seen the copy of that petition till today, and therefore that made Algon to run to court.
As I speak to you now, it was generalized. Auction, there are procedures, there are laid down procedures, for all those things. And if peradventure auction was held in this local government, even before the coming of this administration, where have I actually ate? If I may ask you that question, because all procedures were followed. So what makes it illegal? And I am the executive chairman. I know sometimes in this local government, let me not speak for any other local government. I know sometimes in February this year, auctions were made.
Reports from various local councils indicate that the suspended chairman have resumed duties on the ground that a Jos High Court has issued an order restraining the governor from suspending the chairman. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal has urged the new members of the State House of Assembly to unite and work for the interest of the state. Governor Lawal appealed while meeting with the newly inaugurated lawmakers at the council chambers of the Zamfara State Government House in Gusau, the state capital. The governor, in a statement by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Suleiman Idris, urged the parliamentarians to maintain a constructive partnership with the executive arm of government. The Speaker of the House, Honorable Biliaminu Ismail, said the lawmakers will give maximum support and cooperate with the executive arm for the betterment of the state. Kano State Governor Abba Kabir on Wednesday morning continued his demolition exercise in the state by collapsing the multi-million naira roundabout located close to the Government House entrance. The governor was said to have personally supervised the demolition of the roundabout, which is only a few meters away from the entrance of the Government House. The roundabout was remodeled and renovated by the immediate past administration of Governor Abdullahi Ganduje at the cost of 160 million naira in 2017. The governor had in the early hours of Sunday demolished shops built by the fence of Sania Bacha Stadium at Kofar Mata, GSS Kofar Nasarawa facing IBB Road, and buildings by GGSS Dukawiya Gorandute. You're watching Trust News Update. Coming up after the break, we take a look at effects of indiscriminate refuse dumping. Do stay with us. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining us, you're watching Trust News Update, a recap of some of our top stories. You heard that President Bola Tinubu mourns victims of Kwara boat accident, orders thorough investigation. You also heard that Nasarawa police arrest another Kuje SKP, 17 suspected kidnappers, others. Moving to more news, the government, civil society organizations and individuals have so much to do in the area of health management. As important as hospitals are, most villages in Benue State have no first aid clinics to attend to the sick. Jimmy Adzande visited one of such villages and now reports.
For those who do not have first-hand experience, it is like a fairy tale about the lack of health facilities in the villages. In Fada, an isolated village in Guma local government area of Benue State, the community health extension worker appears to be the only option.
So I learned that these people are having problem of this hospital or something. So I came here. My problem is I'm considering a lot of problems, like transportation to get drugs. Right now I'm from a level. A woman came and drove her here. Our problem is we don't get the drugs available here very quick, and where to get them is very difficult because of the condition of the road. So that's our major problem here.
Due to
Hospitals that were government-owned no longer exist. We are going through terrible times in this village. Looks like we do not have a government anymore. This is actually not good enough. Many who spoke lamented that mortality rate is high in the village because of the lack of health facilities. They said it wasn't the situation. The rains have cut out the villagers from neighboring communities because of poor road networks.
To go where we used to go and buy drugs, as it is this during this rainy season now, we used to have a lot of problems. So government should see to that. And government should come. They say it is government that say we should take her to grassroots. So the problem is to get drugs and the load. That is our major problem here.
So if the government knows that we are a people, this is the right time for them to come to our aid and make sure that our pains are eradicated. Our people need a life. Our people need to transport. They need to go out to the environment and interact with other people like normal human beings. So the government really needs to come to our aid. Otherwise, the sufferings are too much.
Sad as it is, a baby was delivered as at the time of this report, and the community health extension worker said there were no drugs nor means to travel out to get some.
The Task Force on Environmental Sanitation, constituted by Sokoto State Governor Ahmed Aliyu, has called for evacuation of solid waste in the state. Some major roads in the state's metropolis have been taken over by refuse because the designated sites for dumping refuse are overstretched. Abubakar Imam reports that the task force chairman, Umar Nkwabo, blamed the previous administration for not paying attention to environmental sanitation, thus leaving residents to dump refuse indiscriminately. The report.
Residents of Sokoto State heaved a sign of relief after the refuse, which had formed fountains of embarrassment in the state metropolis, had been evacuated by the task force committee constituted by the state government. The residents had been complaining about the indiscriminate dumping of refuse along the major roads, disrupting vehicular movements. This refuse has been here for 6 months because the previous administration didn't pay attention to it, despite series of complaints from the residents. But the residents have spoken. They have done their part by removing their garments, and this should serve as a lesson to our leaders. They should try to be fair and just. This refuse is a source of concern, especially during this rainy season, when people can easily contract disease. We will ensure all refuse are evacuated. I'm appealing to the general public to support this government by dumping refuse on the designated sites. An environmental sanitation tribunal will soon be inaugurated to deal with those who are violating environmental law. The 27-member committee, being led by Umaru Kobo AA, a businessman and philanthropist, today flagged off mass refuse evacuation exercise at the Al-Mustafa roads. According to the committee, the exercise will last for 2 weeks.
On a sad note, a friendly football match in Madalla town, Niger State, turned into mourning following the sudden death of the referee who was reportedly hit by thunder strike. The deceased, simply known as Mustafa Coach O2, met his tragic death on Tuesday evening during the match played in the community school football pitch. An eyewitness, Muhammad Musa, said the match played between Suleja and Madalla youths went into half-time break when the incident happened. A family member of the deceased said the janaza prayer was held in respect of the deceased on Wednesday morning in Suleja town, where he lived with his family. On the foreign scene, Human Rights Watch has published a damning report accusing the M23 militia of committing murder, rape, and other war crimes in the volatile East, the Democratic Republic of Congo, in recent months. In the report, HRW said it had so far documented 8 unlawful killings and 14 cases of rape by M23 fighters. The group, whose members are predominantly ethnic Tutsis from Rwanda, has captured swaths of territory in DRC's North Kivu province since taking up arms in late 2021 after years of dormancy, with over 1 million people displaced by the fighting. The DRC accuses Rwanda of backing the M23. Independent United Nations experts and several Western nations, including the United States, agree with Kinshasa, but Kigali continues to deny their claims. HRW said in a statement that the United Nations Security Council should add M23 leaders as well as Rwandan officials who are assisting this abusive armed group to the Council's existing sanctions list. Meanwhile, Kigali has dismissed the rights group's report. Government spokesperson Yolande Makolo said Rwanda is not going to be intimidated by these campaigns of disinformation and distractions from ongoing regional peace efforts. And finally, in sports, Real Madrid have completed the signing of England midfielder Jude Bellingham from Borussia Dortmund on a 6-year deal. The Spanish Giants will pay 103 million euros for the 19-year-old in addition to various potential add-ons. If those add-ons are achieved, the deal could reach 133.9 million euros. Bellingham, who started his career at Birmingham City, will be represented or presented as a Real Madrid player at a ceremony on Thursday. One of England's top performers at last year's World Cup, Bellingham was named the Bundesliga's Player of the Season as Dortmund missed out on the first league title in 11 years on the final day. The initial fee means he becomes the second most expensive English footballer after Jack Grealish, for whom Manchester City paid Aston Villa £100 million in 2021. And with that, we've come to the end of Trust News Update. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.